Okay, for lesson 4 of the RD program, we're going to come back to the chart we created in our lesson 1 in the very beginning of the program. So you want to have kept this chart somewhere safe so that you can return to it for lesson 4. In lesson 4, we're going to come back and look at the intelligences in relation to careers. And the reason that we do this, even with very young children, is that unfortunately, because our school system is so linguistic in its leanings, often children get the impression that they will not be successful, that there's no hope for them if they're not good at reading or not good at writing. And so what we want to do is to show kids that everybody is valuable and that actually the world, which is far more tolerant of diversity than schools are, has good jobs and opportunities for success no matter what your learning profile. And that's really our goal in this lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our chart and we're going to talk to students about what careers might be associated with each of the intelligences. We can do this in a number of creative ways. Sometimes I have handed out pictures of famous people to kids and simply asked them, where do you think those people would fit? If you give them a picture of Oprah Winfrey, what would her strengths on this chart be? If you give them a picture of LeBron James or of a musician that's around at the time or whoever, where do they think that those people would fall? And so we're going to go around, and with young children sometimes we'll focus this around, for instance, community helpers, doctors, nurses, teachers, careers that young children are going to be familiar with, firemen and so on. So we'll go around and I'll say to the children, so if you were good at art and at painting and at puzzles, you have strong visual spatial intelligence, what kind of careers might you want to do when you are in this sort of strength area? And depending on the age of the students, young students will say things like artist. Older students may recognize things like being a graphic designer, video game kind of programmer, those things, interior designers, etc. We're going to go through each of the intelligences then, looking at what kind of careers could be associated with it, who are some famous people that you know, and we may even do, if we want to, we could take some time and do artist studies and musician studies. One of the ways of extending this program is to have students then do an autobiography or a biography of someone who has a similar learning profile to them. So if my strength was in, let's say, the existential area, I might do a study or a biography of someone like the Dalai Lama. And so we have the students, because the purpose of that biography is that students get a chance to see that someone like them was successful, was able to be famous even, that there is hope, in other words, for them no matter what their learning profile. And that's really what we want to do. This first half of the RD program, this first 4 lessons, is really about building self-concept. It's about helping students feel good about who they are and reflect on how they learn well. We want students to be able to say, these are the ways in which I learn well. These are the things that are challenging for me. It's a realistic self-concept, and be okay with whatever their learning profile is. So by the end of lesson 4, we're wanting them to see that there are many different ways to be intelligent, that all of us have a bar graph of those strengths, and that no matter what your learning profile, there are careers, you could be famous, there are things that you can do in life and in the world. And we end lesson 4, which is the first half of the program, and the part that's dedicated to self-concept, by having a look at these things. You can choose, as I said, to extend it into doing biographies, into all kinds of creative endeavors. You could do different activities in each of the areas to help students get a sense of what is involved in them. But at the very least, we want to have gone through the chart. We would go through each area, talking about the different careers and different people that we can think of who are associated with each intelligence. The next 4 lessons of the program transition from self-concept into respect for others. We're moving now into the community building piece. We've laid some groundwork with the community brain and some of those conversations, but we're going to move now into really trying to help students build community and have a sense of value around others. The dilemma in creating respect for others amongst students right through the school years is that students at this age are naturally egocentric. They think that everyone thinks like them, likes what they like, etc., right up until later high school. And so it's that whole kind of like, I like hockey if you don't, what's wrong with you, right? There's something wrong with you for not liking hockey. So how do we get a student who believes everyone should think like me and like what I like to actually have respect for someone who has a different set of likes and talents and perspectives? The only way to start there, we have to start students where they are, is to help them to see how diversity benefits them. And then we can expand them out from there. So in the beginning, in Lesson 5, we want to help students get a sense of the value of diversity to our own lives and to our communities. And so what we do is this. We place students into groups, usually groups of 3 or 4, and we have each group draw an intelligence out of the hat. So one group is studying verbal linguistic, one group is doing visual spatial, etc. Their first task is to create a role play of what the world would be like if everybody's greatest strength was that. Now the skits will end up being funny, because if you drew verbal linguistic, then everybody's talking and there's no roads and there's no food and there's no, right? It's silly, but it makes the point, and that's what we want. So they create these skits, we act them out, and then we come together and debrief. And we talk about, so would the world work if everybody were the same? And our point is to have students realize, no, there'd be a lot of things missing. And as one of my students in grade 6, I believe it was, said, it would be chaos, right? It would be very chaotic to not have people who played different roles. And we ask students to think about, so what would happen to your life if there weren't others who did diverse things, who were good at things you weren't good at? So they get that perspective that it's valuable to me. In the second half of Lesson 5, we do another set of role plays. So now the students, same intelligence, same group, now the students do a role play of what the world would be like if no one were that. So what would the world be like if no one were musical rhythmic or no one were visual spatial? Sometimes students, particularly older students, will make comments about, well, you know, we could live without people we could live without artists, or we could live without musicians. And often my comeback to them is, really, so you don't mind having no graphics for your video games, having no soundtracks, having every building gray, right? And they begin to realize, oh, actually everybody is valuable. Our world would be missing something if any one of these groups were not present in our world. And that's the point we want to make to students. And so after they've done the role plays about what would be missing, we come together and talk about the value of everyone and the value of diversity. And I have students reflect on their own lives. And I will often use myself as an example. And I'll say, you know, I'm not a very kinesthetic person. I'm glad there are people who enjoy farming, who enjoy construction, because I don't want to build my own house, and I don't want to grow my own food. And I'm glad that there's someone who enjoys doing that. And that is part of the exchange of a community. So we're trying to help students to wrap their heads around the idea that diversity is beneficial to them and to our world at large. And therefore, they should have respect for people who have different strengths than them, because they're useful and because they have a valuable role to play in our world.